What's going on, everybody? It's your man Chuck Creekmire, aka Jigsaw. AllHipHop.com is here with Peter Rosenberg. Are you a mogul yet? What are you now? You're a radio, WWE. You got radio, everything popping.
I think mogul means you have to like own some valuable business in which like other people do things and you just collect checks. So I'm too much of a worker bee, unfortunately, for mogul status. But I definitely stay busy.
You're working hard. You're working hard. That's what's up. Now you have this new album, man. Tell people about it. It's got some bangers on there. You don't use the word bangers too much these days, but you got some bangers on there.
Listen, you said it, Chuck. Nah, it's definitely got some ish on there. I started working on it in the fall. It had been something I wanted to do for a while, but I just didn't know the direction I wanted to go. And then it started sort of naturally taking shape. And I got, Styles P, Smoke DZA, and Ransom on a joint. And Ransom's really been in his bag. He's a name from a few years ago. He's one of the guys who's kind of back. So I was really happy to get him on a joint. I got a Westside Gunn joint that's I was really happy to get. I had a couple artists that I can't say that any one person was needed like to make it official, like in theory, in theory, I just want to make good music, but you do want to have certain people like to solidify what it is you're trying to do. So like, I don't need a Rihanna feature to solidify my album, but I really, having Griselda is important. And for me, so getting the Gun feature and getting the Rock Marcy feature, I think were really sort of the like, okay, if you are into a certain kind of hip hop, you'd almost be crazy to not check it out because there's a Westside Gunn, because there's a Rock Marcy feature. So those ones were important. And then, I got Meth, Ray, and Ghost all on joints. Jim Jones on a joint. So it came together really nicely. And then a whole slew of not all of them are up and comer, like because you study the game, that there are a lot of people on it who, if you don't know that much, you might be like, oh, up and comers. There aren't that many. There's only a handful of quote up and comers. A lot of them are people who are solidified in their own way. They're just not necessarily household names for everyone.
Facts. I just interviewed Mark Hami the other day, and I mean, he's been around for a minute, and a lot of people just don't know his name, when you walk around the streets or whatever.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, but he's killing it right now. So I get exactly what you said. And it seems like that's a reoccurring theme. Very underground, very grimy, crime apple. You got all these names that are circulating in the underworld, the New York underworld, I might add. So this is a very New York album. Talk about the process of bringing it all together.
Listen, it was a real COVID project. There was no in-person anything on this project. It sort of lived at the desk where I'm sitting at right now, in my guest room / studio. It was sort of a labor of emailing and phone calls and voice notes and FaceTimes, and then sitting here and working on it myself and sending it to my friend Kenny, who mixed the album. That was really a big part of the process. I think for me, honestly, COVID really worked to my advantage in the case of the album, because artists were more willing to just, do work and send it. One of the things that's kind of always been something that's prevented me from doing more is how much people are like, yo, we'll come through the studio. And then you're playing a game of waiting around and rescheduling. And with just the amount that I work day to day, that was always something that was hard for me. I'm just kind of a baby about doing stuff during the week, probably too much so. I've missed out on some very good things because I just am like, I have to wake up early. So because of this, I think it became more acceptable for people to just send things and feel comfortable with that. So it really was a COVID project in that sense, kind of through and through.
Okay, okay. Now, are you a, Rosenberg Khaled, Peter, you know what I mean? Like, are you orchestrating things like that? I mean, for the people, I've heard the album, obviously, so I kind of know the answer to this, but what's your position as it relates to the artistry? Are you rapping?
Right. It's a great question because a lot of people seem to be unclear about whether or not I might be rapping. And by the way, sort of my own fault because I've done a lot of silly parody rap on the radio over the years. So I suppose there are people who could actually believe I would be that disrespectful to the craft to come up with an album where I'd be rapping.
Right.
Although I did sometimes flirt with the idea of like it would be fun to put on a voice effect and sneak in somewhere and not credit it anywhere and just have people go, who was the person on blah, 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 and just kind of be sneaky. That crossed my mind for fun's sake, but I did not do that. It is the artistry connection is the songs are all, 2 songs were basically created without me. The Westside Gunn record, you can kind of view that as a straight commission. Like, he turned in that record. And the intro, Real Late with Vel the Wonder, produced by DJ Skizz, that was basically complete as well. But every other song sort of started with, me picking the beat, thinking of the artist to be on that beat, contacting said artist, getting them on the record, and then coming up with sort of the order of who's on where, deciding on what other things need to be done, in some cases adding scratches and just really putting the entire record together piece by piece. So it's weird. I understand why people question it. I see the tweets a lot. What does this actually mean? And it's sometimes hard to explain. It's like, no, I made the records. These records were all pieces. That's why I think the best way to compare it is like directing a film. I didn't write the film. I didn't star in the film. I'm directing this project.
So you're the director of the album.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, from an artistry standpoint. It's like directing. It's you have actors and you have a story, and you're trying to put all the pieces together through your lens. That's why ultimately tonight, tomorrow, over the weekend, when people start digesting the album, the nervousness that I have is that of whether people realize it or not, it truly is sort of a judgment of my ear and my vision for the project.
Yeah. Right, right. It's grimy. It's super grimy though. Like, it's like almost like a juxtaposition. Is that always been your taste in music?
I mean, I don't like to be, I guess I sometimes don't want to put myself in that box. It's definitely the reputation I've developed. And, at Hot 97, I'm definitely considered that guy. Like there's a lot of like, Rosenberg wouldn't like that record. You would like this record. This one's for you. Or I definitely have a bit of that reputation. And that's not always true. Like I'm a human being with soul who likes songs of all varieties. But I will say that like, the classic hardcore hip hop was definitely my thing, whether it was LA, the Bay, especially New York, that is definitely my cloth. But, I also think people have a tendency to like lean so much into how hard it is that in a weird way, it can feel limiting. Like people talk about that like it's passé. Like, oh, it's nice that you did that. Like, oh yeah, like as if it's not really good because it's not what like 19-year-olds put on their TikTok or dance to, but like it's nice that you're doing that. And I'm just, listen, I have never succumbed to that. Like we have to just go with what is considered commercially viable to put out something that should be lauded, until people want to dick ride after the fact And when they see a Freddie Gibbs starting to pop, or they see a Griselda starting to pop, then everyone wants to start talking about like, oh, yeah, nah, but I mess with that. It's like, no, this is quality music, and there's a lot of it being made. And I hope that, you know, whatever voice that I have is able to shine a light on the fact that music like this is still being made and still deserves to be applauded and not treated like it's some feel-good sympathy project that people put out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to get out of that mentality of like, if you're over the age of 30, or if you don't make something that's somewhere between mumbling and singing, we just feel sorry for you. You're just trying your best. Like, we need to be able to say that just as people want to hear the Lil Baby project and they're excited to hear that, Lloyd Banks could drop a better project tonight. Like, I don't subscribe to that sort of notion. And I feel like a lot of us, like, and by that I mean real hip hop heads, even older hip hop heads, do it to ourselves. And like, I don't know why. Like, this album knocks. This is not like a, oh, it's nice that you did that. Like, I really feel it's a put it on at track 1, hit play, and you're gonna just go on a journey of a hip hop album. I don't subscribe to the like. I don't want to overplay how hardcore it is. It's a rap album with lyrics and beats. It is definitely that. Yeah,
facts. Now, on the album, Jim Jones mentions Slick Talk and When He First Met You. I have to ask, what was the encounter that he's referring to?
I believe the direct bar is, ask Rosenberg about our very first encounter. He was talking slick shit. It could have been his worst encounter. And yeah, so basically what happened was I got to New York in 2007, and MTV did a top 10 MC list at that time. And Jim Jones was on it. And Cypher Sounds and I were doing our early morning weekend show at that time. And I just was not used to the fact that anyone heard what I said. Because being in DC, you could kind of say what you wanted. No one was paying attention to what I said. And then I was not used to the fact that if you just jump out and give an opinion like, why is Jim Jones on this list? That's trash. I did not realize that, like, oh, he might be listening himself. And that's exactly what happened. And he called the station and was like, yo, Syph, who's your man? Yo, tell him how things are in this city, blah, 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 blah. You know, and talked. He scared me straight. And it was a good lesson. And I'm kind of grateful I learned it at that time, because it could have been much worse. He's right. It could have been my worst encounter. Like, you do not realize the sort of responsibility you have talking about things in New York City and talking about things on Hot 97 in particular. People hear it. Someone's going to hear it. Someone's friend's going to hear it. I mean, it actually can be annoying. In one sense, it's great. It makes you feel important and like the artists who matter hear you. And in another sense, it's frustrating because sometimes it's hard to even give an opinion you want to give, because you're like, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just trying to give a rap opinion, you know?
So basically you and Jim are cool now, basically.
Oh yeah. We've been cool for a very long time. This is not even the first record we ever did together. Gotcha. We've done stuff together in the past, but it is the first time he's ever been on a record with Ghostface.
Yeah. It's a banger too, by the way. I mean, God, Ghostface kills that joint.
I know. Oh I'm excited. I'm real excited for people to hear that Ghostface verse. Like, you know, people seem to. That's what I'm saying. People seem to always be surprised when these iconic artists deliver.
Right.
And you know, someone in one of those tweets, the "What does Rosenberg really do?" kind of question, someone was like, "Yeah, getting Wu-Tang on a song. I mean, that doesn't seem like. Of course, it's good." And I was just thinking, I was like, well, you want me to show you all the dope rappers who have been on whack songs before?
Right.
Dope rappers are on whack songs sometimes. Yeah. And furthermore, dope rappers are on great songs that you don't ever hear because it's with an artist you're not familiar with or whatever. So I do think what's special about this is you're getting dope artists, hopefully on dope records, and maybe I'm able to get some more exposure than, you know, a feature otherwise might have gotten.
Right, right. Now let me ask you about the navigation of this industry. Jim Jones is talking about slick talk. How do you? A lot of people call you out or have issues. So how do you navigate through that? How do you manage to avoid attacks or whatever you might want to call it in this hip hop game?
I mean, I sometimes I forget how many people I've had issues with over the years. Like, it's really, you know, it's more than I would probably have liked. But when I got up here, the only reason I was successful and notable and able to last this long and kind of build a life off of this is because I was willing to give opinions. So had I not been, I wouldn't be here. Right. But at the same time, you know, I had a real ridiculous sense of confidence, probably mixed with a little bit of privilege that I was unaware of at the time. You know, as I was talking to Nori about it, and he's like, Nori said something that was really interesting. He's like, well, no one knows in the moment when they're speaking from privilege. Like, it's not like a buzzer goes off and it's like that thought you had that's actually affected by your upbringing and the fact that you're white and grew up upper middle class. Right. You're just going from your gut. Like, we're all human beings and you're like, this is my opinion. This is how I feel. And you don't realize until sort of later that I'm like, wow, that, you know, it all factors into what my personality is. Right. I'm glad that I'm aware of that now. Okay. But at the same time, how could I go back and change very much? Like, I would have specific moments where I might have done something differently, or in a couple I know I would have. Right. Maybe just changed little things that I said. And I could have verbalized it in a certain way, and I didn't. But the fact is, like, I was always going to have people who didn't like me. I was always going to have, I'm not from New York. My name is Rosenberg. I'm on Hot 97. Right. You know, my voice comes off, I'm sure to some people, as like so white and nerdy and annoying, what, you know, and just not what they were accustomed to hearing in the morning on Hot 97. Right. So there were going to be people who didn't like me no matter what. Yeah. Particularly when I then started giving really confident opinions. Right. But, you know, as the years have gone on, I've sort of had less of those things, which is a good thing. And part of it comes from growing up. But another part of it comes from honestly living in a time when the wrong opinion that comes off the wrong way could take you down a whole different path in this era. You know, like, and this is not a conversation about political correctness. I don't mean like, you can't even make racist jokes anymore. Like, that's not what I mean. Like, for me to even go on and give an opinion, the way I beefed with Nicki Minaj, for example, years ago, that would play out way different now. Right. And in some ways, in many ways, I think that's good. Yeah. But it does change the way you operate. Like, it does mean you have to sort of mince your words at times a little bit. And sometimes that's great. And I think it's useful for people to be thoughtful of other people's feelings and opinions, especially marginalized groups in this country. But then there's also another layer to it where it's just like, man, sometimes I just want to give an opinion. And you're worried that if you give too harsh an opinion and you just want to say this shit sucks, or this person's, I don't fuck with this person because of X, Y, and Z. Right. Even those opinions can lead you to a place of being dragged on Twitter that I know I'm not particularly built for. Like, that's not what I'm like. I'm not the dude who does well checking my Twitter mentions and seeing it in flames. Like, there are some people I give credit to. They can just turn off their phone and come back in a week. Right. I struggle with that. Yeah. So as a result, you have to kind of pick your battles and think about the things that are worth saying and the things that aren't worth saying. Yeah. So I have to mention, you called me out with that whole Jay Electronica thing. Yeah. I just remember that too when we got on the line. Yeah, you hurt me. You cut me on that one.
cut me deep.
And I was wrong. And wasn't it misinformed?
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was.
Can you remember the exact situation for the people?
Yeah, so basically you and Jay Electronica had an issue over the Synagogue of Satan lyric, which is derivative of the Bible, but I'm not well versed in the Bible. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
And you took issue with it, and I liked it, some part of that interaction. And so did Russell Simmons, I might add. So did Russell Simmons. And so you went on the air on Hot 97 and you said something. And that put me, I didn't even know about it until people told me. And then sort of, it just kind of went from there. You know, so I was like so taken aback because I thought we were cool. I was like,
well, that's all. But isn't that the funny thing about like issues, especially through Twitter, is that's how I felt.
Right.
So like you hit like, and someone else did too. There was an artist who hit like on it who I DM'd and was like, "Oh, really, fam?" And they're like, "Oh, my bad. I didn't even see what the context was. I just hit like." And
right.
So I was again, that's one of those moments where I'm getting attacked from all different places.
Right.
And for an opinion that I felt strongly about, and was personal for me. Right. And I don't speak up on that issue all the time. And there are a lot of times when I could, and I don't. Right. But this struck me a certain way, so I'm speaking my mind and having a lot of people come at my neck for me in ways that were so super offensive. And so I don't remember which piece you liked.
Yeah, I don't either. So for the record, I don't either. I didn't. I like things all the time, and I just sometimes it's all hip hop. We're reporting things. We're bookmarking. For me, it's
what a like even means is up for debate.
Right. True. It's because you could like anything.
Someone could report a death that's tragic, and someone can like it. It doesn't mean they're saying, "Oh, that's great."
Right. Definitely.
Well, listen. Either way, I apologize. I should have just reached out to you directly and not that. Again, these are the things I'm trying to work on to be better about.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Huh? The graphic guy?
I didn't plan that. I didn't.
Yo, fuck you, Chuck.
No, but I did feel a way because we were on Ari Melber. We were, I'm like, yo, we're cool. Swapped information. I'm like, damn, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know the situation.
But were you able to look back and see what you liked in the context of the argument?
No, I didn't. I don't look back. I like things because we're reporting things. So if something's beef, if there's beef or if there's something going on, you might like it to bookmark it. You know what I mean? But it's not like, oh.
I took it as a Jay Electronica saying, "Fuck you, Peter." Chuck Creekmer's like, like. I was like, what the fuck, Chuck? So that was how I felt. That's how.
Nothing like that. I play it objective. Although I love Jay Electronica, that's my guy. You know what I mean? But I wasn't picking a side or anything in that particular instance. Yeah.
No. Listen, I should have hit you direct. I would say that if you were to go back and look at the context of it, you'd probably understand why I would have taken it that way. Right. But likes are whatever. It's never worth starting shit over a like. That much I definitely feel. And that was a tough situation. Like me and Jay Electronica have had a back and forth about these issues. I was looking back. We've argued about Judaism, anti-Semitism, Israel for years. Like I didn't even remember how long we'd been arguing about this.
Right.
And I felt it was a series of lines on the album that, to me, the way I liken it to people is like, if there was someone who was telling you out and out they weren't a racist and they never had said the N-word on video or anything, it's not like you had the proof positive.
Right.
But they said a series of things that were super triggering for what racists to say.
Right.
It's hard not to feel a way. And, it's really hard for me too, because I'm incredibly critical of Israel.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm already walking this line. Jews think I'm a self-hater because I'm critical of Israel. Meanwhile, I went to Israel for the first time when I was 4 years old. Right. It's a very important place in my family's world.
Right.
And yet I do not support the prime minister. I do not support the bad things that Israel does.
Right.
But when people start referring to Israel by its nature as being inherently evil or bad, well, you know, as the child of a woman who was born in a displaced persons camp after the Holocaust, I'm a feel away. And I have the right to feel away. And then on top of that, I have to have people coming at me immediately afterwards saying, who are you to talk about being anti-Semitic? You're not even a Jew. And I'm like, I don't even know how to have this argument anymore.
Right.
So I get it. If you don't think I'm the original Jewish man, I don't care what version you think I am. I'm just telling you, my mom was born in a displaced persons camp in Germany because her family was completely ripped apart. So I'm like, to not be sensitive around that subject to me would be crazy. And I think that we have to be diligent in talking about it with people who matter. Like if Jay Electronica didn't matter, I wouldn't give a shit.
Right.
But he does. And Jay's an incredibly smart dude, always has been, and a lot of people listen to him. And I'm not saying that we couldn't sit down and agree on certain points, because I think we would. Right. But I think if you really look at the language that's being used and the context that it is, to me, it would be hard to tell a Jewish person to feel no way about that. And I would love to one day have another talk with Jay, even though we've talked about it before. But shit, this Middle East shit, that problem's been going on a lot longer than Peter Rosenberg and Jay Electronica. So what's wrong with us having another, conversation? And I think there probably could be some good that could come from it. Yeah. But either way, I shouldn't have gone at you over a like. I've done dumber things, but I apologize.
That Chuck D thing. Oh my God.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
The real one. Like Chuck D is the one, because I was so grateful to be at Hot 97, and I'm such a loyal company guy, especially to Hot, who gave me everything.
Right.
And I did not agree with Chuck's stance at that time, but it just that I either A, should have kept my mouth shut, B, really said it been much more respectful, or tried to call Chuck D and have a conversation if I could. So that one I'm regretful for. Right. It did not play well. It bothered people. Some people never got over it. Like I lost people that day that I'm never getting back. Yeah. I think that's unfair and unfortunate. And to judge anyone from one argument in one situation, I think is trash. But people do that, and they don't have an obligation to check out everything that I say and do and contribute. Right. So they, I could do Real Late every Sunday night for 1,000 years and put on as many artists as I can and never stop fighting for the underground and supporting the legends and doing the right things and politically speaking up at all the right times before it was super in vogue to be the person who did that. And it's not going to matter if you had that conflict with someone who they really respect and you offended. Yeah. So seeing as I, truly appreciate and know Public Enemy well musically, and they were a big part of my growing up, that's one I'm regretful for. Yeah. That one hung around for a while.
Yeah, Chuck's my man. I was mad at you on that one, but I know it's been a long time, and we've seen each other since then. So
I've seen Chuck many times since then. Okay, I mean, listen, cool. I'll just say this too. I also out and out apologized, like unequivocally apologize. I am quick to unequivocally apologize if I believe I am wrong, jokingly at the station, Ebro will jokingly call me a flip-flopper and shit like that. And to me, I'm always like, if you're smart, you're a flip-flopper. Right. Because it means you're someone who gains new information and changes your opinion. Only a bona fide moron would gain new information and keep the exact same thought all the time. It's like, I felt the way I felt. I said what I said. People were like, wow, but the tone you used was really offensive to Chuck D, and you sort of like did X, Y, and Z, and it really offended me personally. I'm going to just double down and go, fuck your feelings? Like, that's stupid. A lot of people felt that way for a reason. Right. So, you have to take those things into account and learn from it and move forward. That was an unfortunate one. That was probably the last thing that really hung over me in that way. But I'm glad to have seen Chuck several times since then, and I feel that, you know, anyone who wasn't going to judge me, who wasn't looking to judge me off of one thing, I think understood it was one misstep in a career that is filled with a lot of other things.
Yeah. By the way, are you and Jay Electronica any cooler or cool, or have you talked?
No communication. I offered him to come on the show. I think he said, you know, he wanted me to talk at like a mosque uptown. I was like, you come on my show. Neither of them sounded like the way for us to talk in that moment.
Yeah.
But no, we have not communicated. And like, listen, I'm down to have an open conversation about this issue. But at the same time, if we're going to circle around over and over again, like, I feel like a lot of times I've had these conversations, and at the end of the day, people still choose to talk about it the way they talk about it. I am the king of Jewish jokes. I'm not sensitive to it. Like, I'm really not. Like, if I was out here calling out anti-Semitism every day, I'd be real busy, all the time.
Right.
The amount of personal anti-Semitic shit that's been said to my face throughout my career, the little slick things that people say, it's been regular. Pre-social media, which is like, you know, social media will show a public Jew that you are not, in fact, all the way white real quick. Like, you will learn that you are not accepted into, you know, MAGA mania. Not that I would want to be accepted there, but you learn very quickly what people think of you. But even before that, there's been a lot of it. I don't call it out all the time because, frankly, I don't know that it'll be effective, and I'm not trying to elevate people's opinions. But like I said, when it's someone important and it's an issue that's important, and I think there's a way to have the conversation better. Listen, I didn't want to be the person to say it. Frankly, it was annoying and upsetting and frustrating. But I also was like, I noticed a lot of other people of my persuasion that didn't say anything, and maybe they didn't feel a way. But
with what, the Jay Electronica stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
And I get it. It's not pleasant. No one feels like fighting that fight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all of us are living in this post-Trump era, and God forbid pre-Trump again era. You know,
please no.
I know, please. But I think we all feel obligated to be super mindful, you know. And listen, I've stepped up to be vocal as I can for every group that I felt has been marginalized, including Palestinians, many times. And that's not always the safest thing to do just because you're Jewish, by the way.
Right. No, it's
not always the safest thing to do because you're Jewish.
Definitely
There's no
not.
reflection for protection necessarily with that. So sometimes I feel it would be nice if, you know, others jumped in too. But hey, sometimes you just got to take those licks.
Yeah. Now, I told somebody I was interviewing you, and their first response was, "F that culture vulture," and I didn't respond. I actually didn't respond. Literally, I just let it be. What do you say? You know, there's a lot of talk, Vlad, and you know, I'm cool with Vlad. I don't have a problem. You know, I don't have a beef with him, I should say. What do you say to folks that say that those words to you, those Dame Dash words?
I think the question is, let's talk about what it means.
Okay.
You know, because it's used really loosely. It's really often like white guy making money in hip hop, culture vulture. That's how I see it used a lot. I'm not saying that's what the intended meaning was, but that's what I see thrown around a lot, at least in terms of me, because I'm trying to understand. To me, to be a vulture, right, would be to come in and eat off of the culture while sort of killing it simultaneously, or not caring for it. In this case, that would be my assumed way of defining it. Instead of helping it flourish and grow, you're sucking from it and taking money. Would you agree that's probably the way of looking at it?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So to me, I look at I have 2 jobs on Hot 97. I have a morning show job, none of which, you know, have been the most lucrative things I've done in my career, but I make money, no doubt. It's afforded me life. I make money for that morning show. And on that show, I provide commentary.
Right.
I'd be curious to which of that commentary that I provide every day is detrimental to the culture and not providing a valuable opinion, even if you don't like me personally. Right. In fact, most of the people who call me culture vulture, I would most closely represent the ideals that they would have on the air about music.
Right.
I'm often the one fighting for hip hop's ideals, at least as we believe sort of the forefathers of the game saw it to be. That's what I've always tried to do. I'm not saying I always do it well. I'm not saying I never misstep, but that's what I try to do.
Right.
Simultaneously to that, I do a Sunday night show that I've always done for free for the last 13 years that I just do, where I showcase artists, try my best to break artists, and have very close relationships as a result with so many people because I helped in some way for their career to grow and for their family to eat.
Right.
More often than not, they went on to eat much more than I was able to ever eat off the culture myself. So I know I'm getting super fundamental and nerdy here.
Right.
But if you're talking about what I'm pulling from the culture, I don't do gossip interviews.
Yeah.
The people I focus on interviewing are usually dope. Like, yeah, when I was on Complex, I did an interview with Bad Baby. Sure, you could point to one thing I've done.
You're a bad guy.
I thought it was entertaining, and I thought at that moment it was worthwhile to put a spotlight on that and see what the hell was going on. And if you watch the interview, I'm not keying with her and saying, I think you're dope. I'm pushing questions.
Yeah.
Besides that one random thing on Complex, if you were to look through the long history of interviews that I've done and look at the music that I've been associated with helping push, to me, I think if we went to court, you'd have a real tough argument. The lawyer against me would have a tough time presenting the case of culture vulture. Asshole, privileged, annoying, I don't agree with his taste in music, a hater, all those things you want to throw out is cool.
Right.
Culture vulture to me is a big reach.
Right.
For me to get thrown in a conversation with Vlad is the laziest shit of all time.
Right.
Like if I get out here and start paying for interviews where people snitch on themselves and go to jail off of interviews, I'm the cat who would be like, stop recording. We shouldn't talk about this. Like people don't even know how many times at Hot, Ebro and I will push things another direction to be like, you don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Like, it's just not who I am. So in some ways it's annoying. In other ways, I've started to laugh that term off because it's like, come with something that actually has some real merit to it. That's, I get why they say it to other people. Right. And I agree sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a weak one.
I'm gonna have to talk to the black delegation about this, but
you tell me, am I a culture vulture?
No, I wouldn't say you are, honestly. I have a mixtape. I couldn't find the damn thing, but it's a Cornerstone mixtape in my archives that you're in, much thinner, I might add.
No, but, look closer.
From back in the day, though, and I'm like, yeah, bro, he's been around. He's been around for a minute, and I do appreciate, on this album. I know we're not talking about the album now, but the album is pure hip hop. It's the type of music I would say it's very Griselda-esque. However, it is the stuff that I'm listening to right now. So it's in tune with the core principles of hip hop. So I wouldn't call you culture vulture. I definitely cannot say that.
I mean, it bums me out a little bit that it seems like you're almost struggling. You're like, I wouldn't. Like,
no, I'm not struggling, but perception is reality to some people. How you feel about people is reality, and to change that perception, it can be very difficult. I mean, hey, I'll keep it real, man. You hurt me deep. You cut me deep when I was mentioned on Hot 97 in a bad way. I'm like, I like really, I've been stewing over that for years. You know what I mean? So, and my perception about it is probably very wrong. You know what I mean? You had a feeling, you had a thought, and that thought is not completely invalid. You know what I mean? But I stewed in my head about how I feel about it.
But that's what we all do.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing about issues with people. Like, sometimes people are just assholes, right?
Yeah.
And like, I knew in that case right away, I've never considered you an asshole, but I sometimes people are just assholes, but 9 times out of 10, someone's feelings are hurt.
Right.
Then someone else's feelings are hurt. Now here comes the chest puffing. Now here comes the shit talk. Not in our case, because you're not that kind of dude. Much to your credit. But you know, and then we end up down some path of bullshit. And, you know, I do it. I've done it myself. You know, like the way I went after academics recently.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm allowed to have the feelings that I feel, and I think I make valid points. But sometimes you just feel a certain way, and then one thing gets said, then the other. I don't even remember sometimes, like, who aggrieved who first.
Right.
And then you're going into a cycle of, wait, why do I not like this person?
Right.
And by the time I'm there, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. And you're, in my case, I'm 41. You know what I'm saying? And like, we all do this, especially now with social media. It can continue on and on and on. If you're a public personality, like I said, the amount of artists that I've feuded with, and listen, many times, I'd say it's half and half. I'd say half the times I've gotten into it with people. No, more probably I put on me. I put slightly more on me. But sometimes the person was just being either incredibly sensitive and not understanding that I said something that might have been critical of music. Right. And in other cases, though, it was me being a dick and not understanding, you know, that. And by the way, speaking of the things that I regret, I would also throw Trinidad James in there. I was a total dick to Trinidad James. And like, I've apologized to him already. We've been cool for way longer than we had friction.
Right.
But I was just.
What was the issue?
Well, I didn't like the music, and I thought it was all sort of like I don't know. At first, I guess it gave me some sort of minstrel show vibe or something. I was uncomfortable, like that. You know, my hip hop sensibility, whatever it is, was like, what is this?
Right.
But then I was just rude. Like, I saw him in person and was rude. Like, I don't do that. Like that. I've done many things. Like, but one thing that separates me from the people that I don't enjoy as much in my field is I don't generally just pick on people. Like, I don't just like say nasty things. Right. And I feel like I was just straight up rude to him. And, you know, he ran with it and talked a lot of shit and made a record about it. And it was actually a pretty good record too, called Rosenberg's, about like being dealing with dickheads or something. Right. And, you know, we ended up, I apologized and we ended up speaking. God damn, I do apologize a lot. And isn't it funny? I can't even quite tell whether that should be I imagine that should be a good trait. I apologize a lot.
But I feel sort of good trait. Yeah,
it is a good trait, but I feel sort of embarrassed. To be honest, I guess my masculinity, I feel sort of embarrassed being like, I apologize a lot, but I do.
Yeah.
So I regret that one too. Add him to the list of things that I did that I look back on like, ugh. And I just apologized to Wiz Khalifa last week.
For what?
Change the subject of this thing to Peter Rosenberg apologizes to everyone. No, don't do that. Wiz, it was about when him and Amber broke up, I went on the air and really like went after him because I was close with Amber, thought I was being a good friend, you know. And in some ways I was, but I was also being really insensitive to something that, as close as I was, you know, to Amber at that time, not my place to step into. And furthermore, again, could have at least picked up the phone and tried to talk to Wiz to be like, hey, I'm going to do this.
Right,
you know, something to be fair. I just wasn't even fair at all. So I was glad. I'd wanted to apologize for a long time, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to do it. I had tried to do it off air before. We had never been able to connect. And so finally we were on the air the other day and I was like, yo, bro, we haven't talked about this. So I need to like, let's, because I love Wiz. It's fucking Wiz Khalifa. Who wants Who wants to have Wiz Khalifa be mad at you? He's the nicest guy in Italy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't need that. That's terrible.
Yeah. Such a cool guy. Yeah, really cool guy. I gotta ask you, man, who's your top 5 dead or alive?
Rap talk. I love it. Top 5 dead or alive. Okay, the easy for me is Pun.
Okay. I love it. Hey. Me and Pun. Look, I never met Pun, so I got to know his whole family. So
me too. I'm the same way. Never met him.
Yeah.
Know the family. That's it.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. I'd say Pun is in there. I gotta tell you, this other guy, 3 Stacks. Okay. 3 Stacks is tough. I don't know how to I don't know how to not have 3 Stacks in there.
That's real. I mean, he's incredible, and he's such an enigma. I love the enigmatic aspects of Andre 3000. It's so hard to. Well, I would imagine it's hard to be that way, considering the nature of the business, social media, letting the new generation come in, knowing that you're incredibly talented and so much more doper than they are.
He does things on records. That, like Eminem does things on record that lyrically I'm like, oh my God, how did he get there? Andre can do it lyrically, but he also does it to where, like, how did his thought process even work that? Like, whoa, I don't even, you know what I'm saying? It's more than lyrics. It's his actual thoughts that I'm like, you make me see the world differently with what you said, you know? So, okay, I would say Pun. I would say 3 Stacks. I would say, you know, it's very hard for me to not have Rakim Allah in there. It's very hard. You know, at the time at which he did what he did, I don't know that anybody was quite thinking about rapping in that way. And we don't know what the future would have been, you know, if Rakim, and listen, there are others, you know, I think we're not quick enough to mention Run. Like, Run also at the same time period was doing things that nobody else, when everybody was on some, you know, down the street, you know, shit that we like, but that ultimately we don't think of in quite the same light.
Yeah.
Run DMC they were around then and they were doing other shit too. But let's go with Rakim Allah. Let's say Rakim, Pun, 3 Stacks. You know, I could wrap it up with Hove and Big. Call it a day. It feels generic. It feels like almost like very easy to do that. Let's put Big in because, you know, it really is beyond his death. You know, like, I just feel like what I don't like about the conversations about Big and Pac is that they're often lazy. It's like they died and they died around the same time and they intersected in these weird ways. So let's just always throw their name out there.
Yeah.
I want to, if I'm going to say Biggie, to explain, it's the way in which he rapped so many different ways.
Yeah.
He made you feel so many different emotions. You know, I was listening to Ready to Die recently, and that song Ready to Die, like, it's so dark, but he could be so light. Like, he just really did so much well.
Yeah. And
then you just think about the percentage of the body of work. Because he did pass away, his body of work, his batting average is just fucking crazy.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah.
So then you're at 4, and then for that 5th spot, you know, there's Pac, there's Hove, there's Marshall, there's G-Rap.
Oh, G-Rap, that's my guy. But go ahead.
There's young Kendrick. There's a lot of people, you know, there are people out there who'd say, what about Drake? What about J. Cole? Guys who have now been active for a very long time.
Yeah. Who you going to pick? Who you going to pick?
Let's just go with Hove and make it easy.
All right.
Although, did I not pick anyone off the East Coast?
Yeah, all New York. Oh, okay. 3 Stacks is not New York.
There you go.
Yeah, East Coast for sure, but not New York.
But listen, I mean, just to be clear, you know, we don't, even though he's a national treasure, as a rapper, I don't think we always appreciate Snoop enough.
Yeah,
Snoop, so, you know, Snoop has one of the greatest albums of all time. Yeah. That to me is the room that interests me. In the imaginary rap Hall of Fame in my head, and maybe at the Universal Hip Hop Museum, we could talk about doing this, a room. Ooh, I'm having an idea. I'm about to hit them up right now. This is an idea.
Okay.
The room, to get in this room, you have to have one of those joints, meaning you can't be, it's not that you had a good career, it's that one of your albums is in the pantheon, like a no doubter. There's no big arguments about it. It's like Doggy Style is in that it's in. There's no you're in that room. And that's always the question I put on the younger artists of the artists of the last 10 years is, what's their joint that's putting them in the room?
Right.
What's their Great Adventures of Slick Rick? What's their Ready to Die? What's their Paul's Boutique? What's their record that's like, you're in with that, you're good. And I think to me that's a real interesting conversation.
1 second. Can we mention Guru? Can we just give Guru a shout out? Moment of Truth. Can we just, you know,
give to Universal Rhymes, Unlimited Rhymes Universal?
Yeah. Just for a second, just give him some props.
Listen, I love Guru, man. And you know, I recently was thinking about Guru. I mean, with Guru though, listen, I will say this though, for me, I never had Guru on the highest echelon of MCs, like absolute high. I mean, I'm talking about like the number top 5 highest. I always had him very high. With Guru, it's more though, like he says, I mean, it's the voice.
It's mostly the voice.
It's mostly the voice.
Right.
You know, it's and the lack of effort, seemingly the lack of effort needed to fucking dance on records, you know, like he did not have to overdo anything. Like he could get on a beat and just let Primo do what he did. It's almost like with Primo, Guru's almost like an instrument in gangsta, you know?
Shout out to Guru. I don't know why he popped up, but he's such an incredible lyricist, incredible, you know, and it's not just lyrics, you know, there are all sorts of intangibles. There's the voice, there's the cadence, you know, with Snoop, there's the flow, you know, there's so many different things. G-Rap, it's just mastery, you know, for me, mastery. Kane, G-Rap, KRS-One.
KRS is different too.
Yeah.
KRS is so different.
Yes,
like,
he is.
You could, if you didn't understand hip hop, you could hear KRS and be like, what exactly is this guy? He's so loud. He doesn't even always sound like he's in the pocket the way other people are. Like KRS is his own thing altogether. Like that is almost what his biggest gift is that KRS was like, you could be nice no matter how you do this if you do it with your own way, with style.
Right. Yeah, I interviewed KRS for 3 hours this year or last year, some recently. And
I'm jealous. I've been trying to talk to Chris for a long time.
It's man, good luck. It ain't easy. We talked about doing a 2-parter, and I haven't had much success following up. But
and you got 1 part. That's good.
Yeah. But I love KRS. I have a picture with by all means necessary, 2 of them somewhere. I can't find it. But
I listen to these days. Ebro got me very into the song Higher Level.
Okay.
Higher Level on that premiere album, Return of the Boom Bap, which I love that album. Yo, you want to know something bugged out?
What?
Isn't it crazy that when you think about, I don't know about you, how old are you, Chuck?
I'm old enough.
Are you almost my age?
Yeah, I am.
You're my age.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we think about Return of the Boom Bap, I think about it like it was a late KRS album. Like it was down the line and it was like a classic, but it came way later. And he was already like, you know, older and seasoned.
Right.
Yo, when he made Return of the Boom Bap,
yeah,
he was younger than all of the big rappers right now. Drake,
right.
Cole, any of those cats.
Get out of here.
Think about it. It was 93.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Let's do the actual. Hold on. KRS birth year was 1965. He was 28, yo.
Oh my God. You know, and that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God. I can't even.
You want to keep going with it?
Let's go.
When Eric Sermon put out music, it was like, yo, Eric Sermon out of nowhere, the old school, here comes E-Dub. He was like 34 years old.
Right.
He wasn't old. Like,
right. That's crazy.
But we had never, and this actually circles back to the album nicely, because this is what I'm trying to explain to people. We always held rappers to some standard because we had never seen rappers get old before.
Right.
That we were like, if you're older than 25, you're ancient. But like now we're learning that M and J and that generation of people, Royce, all these artists, they're going to continue to make music forever like a great aging rock act.
Yeah, definitely.
But we just never saw it happen before. So like, that's why I don't want people to think of when they see a Wu-Tang feature for it to be pure nostalgia. Like, you know, when Paul Simon put out Graceland, he was in his mid-40s. It's probably his biggest body of work ever.
Right.
With everything else he did with Simon and Garfunkel, it was 20 years later that but with hip-hop, we never had the opportunity to see that. So like, they're not going to knock it out the park every time. If you drop an album every 2 years for 30 years, 40 years, fine, there are going to be some bricks where we say they fell off. But then they might drop the best album they ever made.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
We just never think about it like that. I feel like I'm high when I say this. I'm like, if you think about it, man.
It's mind-blowing.
It is kind of mind-blowing, though.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
Rolling Stones are still out here.
Yeah. And I wonder why Keith Richards, why is he still alive?
Yo, Keith Richards is alive, and they will probably, I think they had their last tour, though, supposedly.
Okay.
But Springsteen performs. I think Springsteen's 70.
He's got a freaking podcast with Barack Obama. Like, I'm jealous. I'm hating. I'm all the way hating.
Yo, he's dropping new podcasts with Barack. He's 70. Like, we need to stop treating hip-hop like it is this young man sport, and everyone who's older is like the old man trying to get in the club. Fuck out of here. Like, there's room for multiple clubs and or multiple rooms in the same club.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So last question I got to ask you about the radio wars. Are you guys celebrating, you know, Charlemagne took a couple hits with Kwame Brown and things of that sort, or, you know, I don't know. I don't get involved in that stuff too much myself. I just stay out of the fray. But with the Kwame Brown stuff, I saw Ebro commented, and you guys are always going at each other. You know, Flex went crazy, crazy. And I was like, oh, my God, he's going nuts right now. You know, so that type of drama, it gets me interested. But for the most part, I stay out of the radio wars. Where do you stand on this now? Do you guys hate each other? Are you know, still competitive? Obviously, I think you are, but what's going on there?
You know, I've laid out for the most part. I'll throw in, you know, I'll toss in a little, you know, slick jab just cause. But in terms of like the days of really going after it, I left it behind. It was a no win for me. Like, it's not a win, yo. Like, you know, if you think about the things that have been said about people that I have feuded with before, if some of those things, and I don't just mean one thing, I mean a handful of things, if you were to really look through it, if I had done the thing to draw that ire, I would be so the fuck out of here. Fired, canceled, goodbye. I recognize that. I recognize that. And, you know, Ebro put me onto that a few years ago, that he was like, you are not going to be, you're not going, your standards are going to be different. That's what it is. I signed up for it. I want it. I'm blessed and privileged to get to be a part of the game. Right. I'm cool with the fact that there are certain things that would get me all the way the fuck out of there. Right. However, for that reason, how can I benefit by getting involved in it? I already know that, like, it's slanted. I can't. I'm not going to win in that. So, like, believe me, I have a laundry list of things that I have contemplated wanting to say before. And I just ultimately was like, for what? I wish everyone well. I actually really, I finally got to a place where I do not have ill will for anyone I compete with anymore. You know, people can judge all the things that they hear about people on their own. It's not for me to be the judge and jury of that. Right. And, you know, there are times when I actually have tried and extended a hand to try to come together on some shit. Like, behind the scenes, I have done that. It has never been received well. So I moved on from it. But at the same time, I'm not going to, like, spend all my – listen, I've been blessed. For all the people, like you just said it, I've had many people who hate me. I've had many people, you bring me up and they go, fucking culture vulture. All this time later, though, I get to do what I love. And the truth is, Chuck, between me and you, when I'm out in the street, which I am, shout to Guru, no bodyguard ever in my life, wandering around by myself with my dog. Right. You know, I get so much love in this city, you know, because most of the people out there aren't the people watching YouTube videos and making a judgment on you. They're hardworking New Yorkers who just hear you in the car and laugh with you every day. Right. So, like, when I'm out and around, I really feel like I feel like a loved part of the city, regardless of any of this shit talk that happens. Right. So why worry about, and I'm not saying this is easy. You said we're close to the same age. It's taken me a long time. It's taken losing things in my life that I cared about. It's taken mistakes to get to a place where it's like, how can saying negative things about other people really benefit me? How can it ever really be good for my soul? Like, just keep doing what you do. And I have had many feuds over the years. I've had many opportunities to spike the football. I choose not to, because if it's ever on the other foot, even though, granted, I think some of those people would spike the football, I know I wouldn't appreciate it if they did. Yeah. So I lay out and I'm just karmically trying to do the best thing. There are times I want to, but who's the win for? And, like, there's enough for everybody to have a voice. And if I disagree with people, so what? Like, am I right every time? Like, the election cycle really did that for me. Like, the election cycle was hard. You know, like, I would go to work being like, I don't want to talk shit about Kanye today. Right. And then 15 minutes later, I'm like, fucking Kanye. Like, you know, like, it was, the election cycle was really hard. I had a really specific approach that I believed in. Right. And when people went a different way from that, even if we kind of believed the same things, I could get real upset about other people's strategy. Right. And what kind of asshole are you if you're just sure that your way is always right? Like, it's evidence suggests I'm not always right. Right. It's all good, man. Peter Rosenberg, good to talk to you, man. Finally, again, I should say. Give us final words on Real Late, the rundown, you know, all the who, what, where, how, so on and so forth about the album. Real Late, the album, it's streaming everywhere you get music. You can go to my social media at Rosenberg Radio and get the links there. Styles P, you know, Smoke DZA, Ransom, Jim Jones, Ghostface, Crime Apple, Homeboy Sandman, Jay Nice, Ito, Velva Wonder, who's a young lady out of LA who bodies the intro so. In my opinion, Chuck, I'm a big intro guy. Right. I believe that intro is going to be in the conversations for most fire starts to an album. Like, yeah, I come out of the gate. Shouts to DJ Skizz who produced it. He found the Sean Price sample of him saying my name. I tried not to, like, as you said, like, it's not a very Khaled. My name isn't throughout the whole thing.
Right.
But it has a couple of spots, and that's one that's – but Vel the Wonder, amazing producers, by the way, as well. Grim Doza, Buck Dudley, Disco Vietnam. God, I forgot Rock Marcy, Flea Lord, Stove God Cooks. It's really, if you're really paying attention to the underground hip hop scene right now, it's a who's who. I mean, it really is. It's a who's who.
Definitely, man. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate this album, man. It's more. It's just more. You know what I mean? More of what I'm looking for.
I really appreciate that, man. I appreciate your time and anything you can do to spread the word, because with these albums, it is still always going to be an uphill battle. I mean, Lil Baby and Durk is dropping tomorrow. There's always going to be a thing that everyone's going to tell you is more important or better than the kind of shit that we ultimately really love a lot. But I think this one is worthwhile. So I hope people will just hit play. All I'm telling people is hit play on track 1. See how long you stick around. That's all.
Let's do it. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you.